All right, thanks everybody for joining today. We're excited to have you here for the Innovative Chat Experience webinar. I'm Mitch Staley, and I'm just going to introduce your presenters for today, and then we'll go ahead and turn it over to them. First of all, we have Cory Creighton. Cory is our UX strategist. He joins Helix with a Master's in Fine Arts and Media Design and over 14 years guiding excellence in design and user experience. And so we're excited to have Cory back on this. If you joined us last week for our series on the user journey and customer service, you'll recognize Cory. Also delighted to have Kari Schultz join us on today's call as a co-presenter. Kari leads our web experience team here at Helix. She has over 15 years of experience in the industry, almost 10 of them with Oracle Service Cloud specifically, and that goes back into the Right Now Technology days. If you are familiar with Oracle Service Cloud, it was previously Right Now Technology, so Kari joins us with a lot of experience to bring to the table. So without further ado, I will turn it over to you, Cory and Kari.
Hi everybody, this is Cory. Thanks for joining us today. Wanted to cover a couple of things, general housekeeping. We will offer Q&A towards the end and try and get to all your questions. If we don't get to your question, please post it still and we'll reach out to you after the webinar. So using the Q&A or the chat functionality, whichever you're more comfortable using. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to try and answer a question, why chat? Before we get into why chat, we're going to kind of get a feel for the room and see how many of you guys and what your plans are for adding chat into your service delivery offerings. So I'm going to let everybody answer this quick question. And I'll give you 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. End that poll and share the results real quick. So looks like everybody who voted on the call is currently using chat. So that's a good thing. Today we're going to share a couple of considerations on how you can enhance your chat experience to drive some specific things. So, back to the why chat. So chat offers a personalized real-time collaboration channel. And so we've all been around. We remember the old conversation about Web 2.0, and it was the hot topic of conversation in the late 90s, early 2000s. Well, that topic of conversation, why the term has faded somewhat, it is still very relevant because we've done a pretty poor job about implementing all of the Web 2.0 capabilities, and chat gives us a real-time collaborative communication channel that our businesses can begin to use. And so everybody on this call that's voted is currently doing that, so congratulations. And now it's time to consider, how do we enhance that? So a couple of business drivers that are coming forth on why chat is to reduce abandonment of key engagement processes, such as your shopping cart in retail, or your product pages, or helping clients navigate the whole e-com side of the website. There's also return of merchandising, which isn't as complex typically for the B2C market, but for B2B, it can be a much more complex process. And so offering up chat to help people through those kind of key engagements and not having them abandon that process and pick up the phone is a pretty important thing to reducing cost and actually brand loyalty. And anywhere that you find a lengthy web form process is a good place to potentially offer chat as a channel, because we can do co-browsing and we can actually get into the eyes of our users. We can help explain specific things if there's breakdowns of the design and help them through those important lengthy processes. An example of that could be higher education. The college application for admissions is typically a lengthy complex process that the audience doesn't have a good understanding of why we're asking or all the questions that we're asking. So that's another prime example of a place that chat can be offered up to help people through the process. Another business driver that's big to me is to help improve customer satisfaction and our perceived brand value. And so it's considered a very frictionless channel, and in frictionless meaning that users like to use that channel more so than they do other channels. So in regards to that, it helps increase satisfaction and loyalty to our brand. Another thing that is common for chat is to reduce our call center costs through agent efficiencies, because a single agent can typically handle 2 to 3 chats in an efficient manner, and that's our common recommendation, is experienced chat agents can handle 2 to 3, and the time to resolution is also quite a bit less than that of other channels because of the real-time nature. There's also a high first contact resolution with chat, meaning that the user engages us with an issue, and in that one engagement, we're finding resolution instead of them calling and not getting resolution, so then they follow up with an email, there's a second contact, or via email, back and forth over multiple days to come to resolution. And so this is a research findings on why chat is important. Users are becoming more and more accepting to the channel. And this is a little outdated, but you can see the bell curve starting to increase and increase. And a common thing in user experience to consider is that our users use our site only about 1% of the time. They're spending 99% of their time on the web on other channels. And so that's important to consider with relevancy to the increase of use because of things like Facebook Messenger, WeChat, and then expanding into the China market too, taking into consideration the global acceptance of chat is ever increasing. So a couple other statistics on why chat would be in a Forrester research project that I'll share the PDF out after the webinar today. There was a 79% response rate that chat is the preferred method to consumers over traditional email and phone, even for our traditional customer service needs. And that's kind of a big deal, is our users want it, our users are starting to use it, and so enhancing that experience is a pretty important thing. So in regards to how to engage, I'm going to pass this on over to Kari to cover a couple of different how to engage our customers.
Hello, everyone. So I just wanted to start by saying, I think most of you, if you have chat implemented, probably already have it across both your customer portal and your .com pages, but the ability to engage with your customer in a way that is consistent is really important. So best practice, we do recommend that you put chat out on your .com properties, and with syndicated chat widgets, you have the ability to drive communication with your customers and control when a chat's offered based on agent availability, agent session availability, and as well as chat hours. So we do have 4 items we want to talk about today. The conditional chat link is really what I like to refer to as a reactive chat link. We recommend you put it in a static place on your site. You can either hide it when chat's offline, or we can say live chat offline. It's kind of a preference there, but it's always in the same static place so that your customers can easily find it when they're frustrated and need some help. The second piece that goes along with that conditional chat link, because it is a conditional chat link widget, but we have started to recommend a fixed positioning model for a conditional chat link. So on this Radius Bake site, if you were to go out there, you'll notice that as you scroll through the pages, scroll down on the pages through the page fold, that link will always stay in that same spot so that your customers know you're there to help. And it does the same thing on the mobile device, which is really handy for reducing frustration of finding those links. Finally, we have the proactive ability. Essentially what this is offering your customers a chat offer when you know there's someone available. My best practice recommendation is we always do this with sessions. That way you're not popping up a pop-up in someone's face that says, chat with me, but you have a 10-minute wait time. So these are really good for driving sales. You can control the time on page parameter, and if someone's looking at a product for a given amount of time, then we can give them an offer, and hopefully your chat agents can help them close the sale. And then finally, just want to make a quick mention about Engagement Engine. Engagement Engine is a very full-featured rules engine that runs in the background. We primarily use it to control chats and allow the business users to control chat business rules without having to involve your IT teams. This little screenshot shows how Macy's is using Engagement Engine to pop up a rewards offer instead of a chat. So it just gives you an idea of kind of all the cool features we can implement if we just put a little piece of JavaScript code on your site.
Thanks, Kari.
You're welcome.
And so, covering a couple of different features that come default with Oracle Service Cloud and some of their business driver benefits. We have co-browse. I talked earlier about lengthy processes, and getting into the eyes of the user can oftentimes help our agents. And so this is an agent desktop experience on the screen right now. And you can see that the agent is offered up with a co-browse. Co-browse is really nice because the user has to initiate it, and then once the user's initiated it from a chat session, then we do get that perspective of where they're lost, and then we can follow along with them through their browsing experience and help offer up recommendations, or if they're having errors on a lengthy form process or that kind of thing, we can pinpoint the issue with them, and then we can log that issue as an incident after the chat session for continuous improvement of a process. And we can then look and see, is that reoccurring, or are people running into the same issue over and over and over again in our web experience, and how can customer service help enhance that? So co-browse is a very strong tool to help identify those. The next one is chat transcripts. And so chat transcripts, there's kind of a split opinion on offering that up to the user. I've worked with some people who want to send that directly to a user after the chat session so they have an email confirmation of it. I've also implemented it for circumstances where it actually gets pushed to an incident, and the person can go back to the customer service website, log in, and see the chat transcript in their portal history. Both ways can be done simultaneously, and some businesses feel that it's an appropriate piece to do depending on your kind of engagement. Most of that I've done with kind of the B2B or financial markets where the users are asking very specific questions, and it's maybe a unique process that we explain them through, and they might want to revisit that again shortly after our chat opportunity. The next one is chat to incident, which is an important thing to take into consideration. Driving chats to an incident gives us a lot of capability, analytics benefits, and trend benefits for long-term improvement. Some of the third-party chat integrations, or a majority of them, they only allow for a 30-day archive of history, and then you lose a lot of your chat data. Inside of Oracle Service Cloud, by pushing our chat into an incident, we have that available for analytics over the long term. And I think that's one of the big differentiators between sticking with Oracle Service Cloud chat and making some great enhancements to fit your business need over looking for third-party integrations. The trend benefiting ties back into kind of what I talked about with co-browse. You're going to be able to identify issues over time and then see and compare how much volume there really is there. And is it a low-hanging fruit, or is it something that we need immediate response for because it's a business driver and that we need to make changes to? The next one is pattern masking, and we actually have a small customization here that uses regular expressions. So pattern maskings are really nice for chat transcripts and the chat identification, because we can obscure specific things, social security numbers, financial credit card information, maybe some different HIPAA things. But one of the nicest things about our customization is that it provides us with the ability to take into consideration any of your specific organization needs and what we might be able to leverage with our pattern masking tool to be able to say, we know there's a common pattern for account numbers for an electrical company, and we can basically match those and obscure those down. Kari, in terms of pattern masking, you've had a lot of experience with that too. Do you have any use cases that I've missed?
No, I believe that you covered all of them.
Okay, nice. So one of the other things about chat is post-chat surveys. And so one of the things that I think a lot of people do is they miss a holistic perspective of these surveys. And so I'm going to walk you through a couple of them. And the common ways that you can do it. After chat is done, you can pop your survey at the end of chat. This relies on some underlying technology and the user exiting this in a couple of very specific ways by default. That's not very holistic, because as we know, users are going to exit chat in a lot of different ways. They're going to click out of the whole entire web experience and close the browser. They might close out of just that chat window, and by closing out of the actual browser window, they might not hit the specific disconnect and exit button in the chat experience that is typically used to pop the survey post. So a good holistic approach is not to just pop the survey at the end, but also, if you have the ability and you've retrieved the contact information, then pushing an email invite right after the engagement is over, so that you're giving a more holistic approach depending on how a person exits the survey. So this example here is an email sent out by Radius Bank inviting people to take the survey, and it actually pushes to the same exact survey that would be popped. So we could implement some intelligence there that says, if a person does actually answer the survey on the exit of the chat experience, don't send them the email. But if they just exit and we don't have any survey results, then let's push them the email and try and get feedback of our chat experience and a more holistic approach. Some of the things that we've done is it's very important that these chats are considered responsive, because a lot of our engagements are happening on mobile now, and this is built a little bit different than our CP web pages. So that's something for you to probably do an internal audit of and reach out to us. If it's not responsive, then you're probably not going to get a very good holistic feedback from surveys, because so many of our users are engaging with us from the mobile side of things. So the last thing is deflection. Deflection through Smart Assist. You're going to probably run into the point or the potential where you don't have enough chat agents to balance out. And so deflection of this channel could become a consideration. So one of the opportunities we have is, in this sequence of windows, we have the user letting us know what their question is, giving us their information, and then we're leveraging the functionality of Smart Assist to look at our knowledge base and offer up a couple of options. So my question in this was, what are the membership card replacement process? And then if you look in the middle, we do have the membership card replacement option. So there I could say my question is answered, or I can continue on to chat and then dig in a little bit deeper if the deflection process didn't happen, which is pretty handy in terms of pushing to self-help still. We spend a lot of effort on our knowledge bases, and self-help can do a lot for us. So One of the interesting things about chat is, and an important thing to consider from the usability and user experience side of things, is the perception of wait time. And so once a person hits the live assistance and we're waiting for the chat to actually engage, we're working right now on a project where it's similar to this workflow, but we're asking the question and then returning potential opportunities directly inside of the chat transcript instead of with the intermediary Smart Assist results of knowledge-based answers. And so the perception then is from the user that they've already been engaged with somebody, they've been offered up a potential solution that they can look at, or let us know that it's not a solution to their problem, and we can then get a human on the line to give some empathy and then drill into the question specifics a little bit more that a chatbot or our artificial intelligence cannot push. So one of the things of concern with chat and the way it is out of the box is it always pops to another web browser window. And that's a usability concern based off of heuristic evaluations of human-computer interaction going back way before the internet. The term of visibility and system status to our users is an important thing. And what ends up happening is we lose the context of where we're at when we're browsing a website, we pop chat, and chat comes up in a separate browser window. I'm pretty fortunate. I'm set up right now with two 24-inch monitors and my laptop, and so I have plenty of screen real estate to not lose those two windows in an experience. But the reality is our users are typically not in that experience. They're typically on their mobile phone or strictly on their laptop, and they have very limited screen real estate to keep two browser windows in view as they're chatting with an agent and navigating a website to help solve our problems. So that's a huge concern. So chat as a separate window, we got to ask ourselves is how we're using this channel. Does the link interaction interrupt our ongoing process? So we've outlined a lot of business cases today, e-commerce websites, as well as any lengthy web form process and providing assistance through those. That's an interaction where a person has to engage in that page and keep that reference. So if we lose that, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. The user is going to potentially lose that chat window. It's going to get buried behind their current web chat or their current web window when they try and go back to their ongoing process, and then they won't be able to see chat alerts and things like that. And the other thing that they do too is they lose the context of place. Where am I on the website? If they go to the chat window or they go to a dedicated chat window, where am I on the website? They're giving me feedback, but I keep clicking links and it's opening more windows and more windows. Next thing you know, you're trying to help a user through a process and they have 3 or 4 browser windows open, which compounds the issue of loss of visibility of where they're at. So we've worked really hard to develop what we call the Helix Persistent Chat. And what our Helix Persistent Chat does is it keeps chat directly inside of the web page for the user. And so I'm going to walk you through an engagement here that I recorded of a persistent chat implementation so I could illustrate it. So I'm navigating around this website looking for a pair of shorts for a trip to Hawaii. And I look around and I don't find exactly what I'm looking for, so I'm going to jump into chat, fill out my information, and enter chat. You'll notice that chat's not popped in a separate browser window, but it's an overlay in the current web environment. And so now I'm able to say, hey, Kelly, I'm looking for a pair of shorts, specific pair of shorts. Can you help me? I'm having a hard time finding them. And so once I get through that, I'm going to, ask her for some links and then I'm going to start navigating back around the experience. One of the key things about this is now I can't lose this chat session. Behind the scenes, this chat implementation is keeping connection with the chat agent that I originally connected to and keeping the whole chat transcript alive. So now me as a user, I can continue my shopping experience. I can look around. I know she's on it. So, I'm going to go through, keep looking at those kind of things. I can reduce the chat window and keep it out of my way so I can re-engage, which is even very, very important in the mobile experience because you've got the limited viewport. I'm going to push this ahead a little bit. One of the keys to know is that, here I am, I navigated directly to another page on the site, and I'm going to pop the chat. I don't lose my conversation where it's at. I continue to navigate through. And she asked me a specific question on what my sizes are. I'm going to get ahead of that real quick so you guys don't know my waist size. And she finds and sends me a response. And I continue shopping. I add some flip-flops to my cart. And you'll notice, okay, here we are in our engagement. And it pops, and now I know I have a response from her. And I can continue on. And then she provides me with a couple of links. And I can click those links. And you'll notice in this instance, it's open in 2 tabs, but I'm not going to lose my chat transcript. So that's really nice. Now I can look at her suggestions, jump through those different things, and continue on with the shopping experience. So our persistent chat tool comes out of the box with a default skin. And so you'll see here on the bottom right, this is the desktop view. And it comes with a wrapper where you can minimize, close out of the system. And more importantly is the shell is a responsive view, meaning that regardless of mobile or desktop, then we have a design framework for that chat. So now I'm going to open the floor for people for Q&A that Kari and I might be able to answer. We've got a couple of minutes still. So the Helix Persistent Chat is available right now, and you can talk to your account manager and get a scope on what that would look like to implement for your organization. Engagement Engine is another really strong tool that coincides with that. One of the good use cases of that is to think about, I want to pop chat on just my e-com pages, but I want to only pop it after someone's navigated through 2 or 3 specific e-com pages. So, that's a pretty powerful tool to allow people to get very specific and drilled in. And one of the other thoughts is you might have different engagement rules for different chat queues. So, Kari, in terms of the engagement engine capabilities and pushing in different chat queues, say we have an e-com specific queue, but then we have a returns chat somewhere else on the site that has a different engagement engine rule to pop it, and we can potentially push those people to another queue, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. So we can still use that engagement engine to push people to specific queues who are then handled by agents with areas of expertise to fulfill more complex or less complex user needs. So pretty powerful. Okay, my information's on the screen here. Feel free to reach out with any questions that you might have. You can also reach out to your account manager again if you have any desires to look at this in a demo environment a little bit deeper, specific to some of your business needs. Thanks everybody for attending today's webinar, and we look forward to visiting with you again in the future. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.